April 2nd, 2023, and this is another video brought to you guys by YPAC. This is a bit different than our usual content about elections, which is the basis and, common theme among most of our long-form content here on YouTube, but I wanted to make this video because I think that is an important one to make. And I will be intertwining some of my personal opinions and a bit of advocacy towards the end of this video, but feel free to skip out at that point. But I'm firstly going to be providing the facts. So, there was a school shooting last Monday in Nashville, Tennessee, at a Christian school, killing 3 children, 3 9-year-olds, I believe it was, and 3 staff members. The shooter was apparently a transgender woman, born male, transitioned to female, and, it's been a devastating tragedy that's affected Nashville immensely. The families, not even of the victims, but also, all around town, it's been something that's deeply hurt a lot of the community. It's heart-wrenching to look at these photos that are appearing here because, you never expect something like this to happen in your town at least, but then it does, and, it really hits home. From what I have heard, the officers and the local officials did their best. They were pretty efficient. Once they found out there's a threat, they brought school buses to put all the children in and take them somewhere safe. And from there, they went to church, I believe, where parents would be able to pick up their kids. And, from there, they took the necessary precautions to take care of the shooter and whatnot. And here we are. So, this is not the first mass shooting of 2023. Far from it. There have been a series of other shootings in America. We have Nashville, Memphis, Mississippi, Michigan, the one at Michigan State University, D.C., L.A., Half Moon Bay, Monterey Park, the one at Lunar New Year, which was another high-profile one, another California one, and one in Utah. These are only a partial list, as the title of the article states, so this is not something that occurs semi-regularly in America. It's very consistent. Now, this is more of my opinion, it is my opinion, but this can't keep continuing. We can't keep going through the cycle where we hear about these mass shootings and over time we become desensitized to them. The most major mass shooting of at least my modern life was Uvalde last year. That was an insane one. And then there's also Parkland and Sandy Hook. But this one was one where I was, involved in the news. I knew what was going on. And I heard about it probably about an hour after it happened. And I there's no way to explain your feeling after a mass shooting. But my feeling after this one was much different than Uvalde last year. My feeling after the Nashville shooting was somewhat expected. Obviously, I felt hurt for the families, but I was I'm becoming desensitized to it, I feel like. And it has nothing to do with morality or anything, but I feel like as America, we're becoming desensitized to it, and we can't, because this is what's killing the youth of our nation. The number one leading cause of death in America for youth is not guns. It's not... What the fuck am I saying? Okay, we can't keep getting desensitized to it because we can't keep becoming desensitized to this because the number one killer of youth in our country is not drugs, it's not cars, it's certainly not drag queens, it's guns. Guns are the problem. Guns are the issue here. And other countries, so many other countries have issues of mass shootings, or had them at least. They have higher rates of drug usage. They have higher rates of video game participation. Whatever else people want to blame the issue on, other countries have that as well. And it's not that. It's the guns in America that lead to these shootings. It's the guns. And sure, some people say that guns kill people. People kill people. Guns don't kill people. But the person has to have a gun to kill the people. Otherwise, they have a knife or some other weapon that's not as deadly or efficient in killing. It's like terrible that is. Efficient in killing. That's a sentence I just used to describe one of the issues in America. This shouldn't be an issue in the first world country, the leading economic country in the world. We are the world leader in practically every field, okay? And yet we still have this issue of guns that no other country seems to have. And it's because of the immense gun culture in America. And I'm not talking about the Second Amendment. No one's proposing that the Second Amendment be abolished. At least I am just saying that there needs to be some more control about who gets access to guns and how. There can't just be, in some states, that once you turn 18, you can automatically have a gun. That the only thing you have to do is show your ID to get a gun. There are more stricter laws on voting in this country in some states than there are on getting a gun. That shouldn't be the case. And if you're going to get into the Second Amendment, it was written at a time where there weren't AR-15s. There weren't AK-75s. There were muskets that weren't military-grade weapons designed for mass destruction, that don't shoot 15 rounds, that don't have the capacity to absolutely disintegrate a human body. If you remember last year, Sandy Hook, the weapon used in that killing, the AR-15, was so destructive that there was no way of identifying the children's bodies. The only way they identified them was by their clothes. One of them, if you remember in particular, was wearing green shoes. One girl's green shoes were the only way that her family and officials were able to identify her. That's how destructive this weapon is. These weapons are, rather. And we can't just keep, recycling, going through the motions of trying to get something done, but having nothing done. And I'm not blaming either side of the political spectrum here. Both sides are at fault. First of all, with Democrats, they use every opportunity that there's a mass shooting to collect more campaign money. They make these mass shootings where children are losing their lives to fuel their campaigns. Well, Republicans, on the other hand, only send their thoughts and prayers. That's all they do. They don't do anything else. They don't vote on any legislation to strengthen security laws or red flag laws or ways to obtain guns. They don't say that you need background checks that last multiple months. They don't vote on any of that. All they do is just send their thoughts and prayers, which that's fine to do. You should do if you want, but that's not going to fix the gun problem in America. Thoughts and prayers. That's not going to do anything. What we need in America is legislation that will help our youth. There's no other way of circling around this issue. Whether you say it's the video games, if you say it's transgender folk or LGBTQ folk who are doing this, or who are committing these travesties. I was reading somewhere that about 0.04% of mass shootings in America are committed by transgender people. While 0.9% of the population of America is transgender people. Thus, the minority of transgender people who commit guns is less than the actual population of transgender people in America. So you can't blame transgender people, first of all. And second of all, we shouldn't be looking to assign the blame to one group, when obviously that group seems to be, or assigning political ideologies to shooters. Because the shooters are insane. They're immoral. They're psychologically and mentally obscure and not okay in their mental capacity. That's one thing for sure, right? But they're not on the same level as the rest of us. But whether they're transgender or part of LGBTQ or a Democrat or Republican or a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. They're a different type of breed that goes out to harm children. We shouldn't be comparing or assigning the blame to any group. Now, mental health, that's one issue that I just brought up. Mental health is also a serious issue in America. There's no doubt that there's a mental health crisis in America. It's not, you know, um, it's hard to talk about because obviously mental health is a very recurring and important and real issue. But also, at some point, the guns have to be blamed some way or somehow. You can't just blame all or assign all the blame to mental health or anything else when the guns obviously are a factor in these shootings. Again, the Second Amendment doesn't need to be taken away or abolished in any form. That's not what I'm proposing. I know that that's not what many people are proposing. That may be what some, but again, not many, certainly not a majority. I am proposing, and this is, a very simple solution to this massive problem in America, that this is a problem. And there needs to be something done because we can't keep going in this cycle where a shooting happens. We send out tweets, thoughts, and prayers. We introduce a bill, but it doesn't get passed. We go through this cycle again and again and again, every month, every few weeks. What I'm proposing is that we look at the gun culture in America with a better lens. We say, okay, more red flag laws, more background checks on people who want to obtain arms, increase the age to 21 in all states for you to be able to legally purchase a gun. Increase and that's just for a regular gun, right? But then for an AR-15 or those military grade weapons, why do ordinary citizens even need to have those weapons that are only used for military purposes, not for hunting or anything else, not for self-defense? Because if someone breaks into your home, sure, an AR-15 will absolutely disintegrate their body. But do you need that? Or can you just utilize a handgun, huh? AR-15s and other weapons of mass destruction that are incredibly fast and efficient at killing people shouldn't be able or on the market for regular, ordinary people. There should be more training, and that should be something that's, reinforced in gun culture. Is that you don't just buy a gun, but you get sufficient training beforehand. That before getting a gun, you have to get a certificate of somehow. What happens when you get a car, huh? You have to go pass a test for it. And sure, for guns, there's some sort of thing. But what about a 1-month program in some states where you have to be with an instructor? And again, I don't know everything about guns out there. I'm just saying that anything other than the status quo needs to be tried right now to restrict gun access in some capacity. Or do something about these mass shootings because they can't keep happening, as I keep saying. We can't keep going on with this cycle of shooting after shooting after shooting. Just it's not okay that this is something that's just been normalized in America. It needs to become not normalized, I guess, is the word for this. But this is enough. We don't need any more signs. If Uvalde wasn't a sign, if Sandy Hook wasn't a sign, then this certainly needs to be the sign. If you share my sentiment in any way, shape, or form, please consider donating to March for Our Lives. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.